If you can stop talking for 10 seconds, that would be fantastic. You want to hit the start timer on there? You want to hit? You want to start podcasting, genius?
Hey, Biff, why are men like diapers?
Because they leak from the edge. I don't know. Why are men like diapers?
They're usually full of shit and easily disposable.
Okay. Pretty good. Yeah.
Biff, why did Snoop Dogg need an umbrella?
Why does Snoop Dogg need an umbrella, Jacques?
For drizzle. Faux drizzle? How I'm so not street. I fucked that up so many ways. Hey, Biff, why are you stupid? Anyway,
being that spending my day on this, shithole podcast, I don't know how to answer that question, Jacques.
I'm going to edit being mean out. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Carnival Personnel Podcast. I'm Jacques.
I wish I wasn't here. This is Biff. What are we doing?
Hey, guys.
What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Hey, guys, it's me, Joe. Remember me?
I do remember
you. Remember when I quit the podcast? Oh, those were the days. Oh, man. So carefree.
Going to prison isn't quitting the podcast. There's a difference altogether.
Hey, I have a very happy marriage. Thank you very much.
Yes, no.
You call it going to prison. I call it love.
Oh, see what he did there? He took my little joke and he turned it in on me. So Joe and I just recorded next week's podcast with a friend of mine, and now a friend of, I feel comfortable saying a friend of yours as well, Joe.
Yes, a friend of ours.
And a friend of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Burke, really a guy I met a few months ago during the open mics. Not only is he hilarious, he might be the hardest working person in the comedy scene here. He has a comedy podcast called Karma and Comedy. He runs his own open mic at the Winter Hill Brewery, where both me and my oldest have gone and done it. And I think if looking at his schedule, 7.5 days a week, he is at a mic somewhere doing it, and he's great. And it was pretty funny, pretty entertaining,
very funny. Him, not us.
He was very funny. You were very funny. I talked a lot.
You were you, and that's why we love you.
And so I don't even think we need to do this. Well, I will. I'll give an update on the tries and tribulations of my stand-up. Almost got into a fist fight with a kid, and this has been brewing for like a month. To be fair, Grayson lives with you, so
Yeah,
but this is a fight I probably would have won. Grayson at this point, dude, I really, if he got me, in a hold, I'm not getting out of it. No. But it was one of these things. It was brewing a couple months ago. I don't like bad etiquette, and this one person, displays a lot of bad etiquette at open mics. And then one day he just decided to, make a lot of homophobic references because I often wear a Hello Kitty shirt, and I said something about it, went back and forth on Instagram. And so I thought a couple weeks ago we were gonna. I don't know what I thought. You know how I get, Biff. Joe knows how I get, and I try not to get like that. And so I went to a mic last week, and I had a joke. I'll give away a little bit of the gold here. I said, because it turned out I found out, he was stabbed a couple of years ago. And so he was at the open mic with me. There was about 30 people there. And I said, I recently found out a guy I didn't like got stabbed. And I felt really bad because now that poor knife has chlamydia. and afterwards, he literally followed me out like into the alley. And then it was really, really sad because,
I like how Biff didn't laugh at your punchline.
No, but the fact
the threat of violence.
and
No, because that's way funnier.
It
I
is.
like
You're right. You're right.
and I'm like, dude, what are you really? Are you, but cooler heads prevailed, and I think we're on a better path now. But speaking of dead things, so my yard is that yard. The inflatables at Christmas, the inflatables at the different holidays. We have a skeleton party outside. There's a bar and 3 skeletons sitting around a bar in our front yard. There's 2 skeleton dogs that are fighting over. It was my take on Lady and the Tramp, type thing. We have one of those solar powered ropes. It's a solar powered rope, and just recently, while I was out there,
solar powered rope. So
yeah, it looks like a rope, but it illuminates at night because it's one of those solar things.
Got it. I was picturing like this rope that
it doesn't
lassos.
Yeah, like it doesn't it doesn't work during nighttime or something like that.
It's and look, we still have. I mean, we can't take the Christmas lights off the Christmas tree outside. It is 3 stories tall. It was paid, but I don't turn them on. But I have these solar flashlights that face the skeletons. And dude, all the time people go by, take pictures, beep the horn. Recently, some guy was walking while I was putting stuff in the car at like 10 o'clock at night. He goes, dude, I live in the condos over there. I always want to see who owns this house. And I talked about it on a podcast a couple months ago. We had a knock at the door. It was some kid. I wasn't home. He rings a ring alarm. It goes to my phone. I'm like, hold on. My wife's at home. And I called Ellen and I said, hey, there's a kid outside who something about wants, is asking about the skeletons or something. And it turned out his mom was in the car. They were getting rid of some decorations, and they have one of these skeleton dogs and the skeleton vulture. And the dad said, no, don't throw them away. Why don't you go see if those people down the street who have the awesome yard, and it was great. So here's the whole point of this story. The other night, I'm walking one of the rescue dogs in our front yard, and I look down and I'm like, I don't know where this came from. And I took a picture and I sent it to management. People have been adding stuff to the display.
Oh my gosh.
Like there's a different color skeleton hand that has like these like jewels on it and stuff, and they rearranged like parts of the brick so it kind of looks like it's reaching out through that.
You've started a movement.
And I'm like, dude, that is awesome. Like that is pretty awesome that somebody's just like, so this is now the second time in a couple months that people are like, I want in on this.
Wow. Well, good for you. You're bringing joy to an otherwise dreary and drab community.
Thank you.
And less waste in the landfill, right? I mean, that's all good.
We're just sort of moving the landfill here.
True.
So I have a perplexing question, Joe. Other than my dazzling company and wanting to see the rescue puppies, why are you here today?
Oh, to see Biff.
Of course, yeah, no, obviously.
And I'm actually at Jacques' home in his basement. We set up the mixer.
Willingly.
Yes, right. I can leave whenever I want, as long as Jacques is asleep. No, I'm here because we got things to watch. We got bullshit to do. We got bad food to eat. But more importantly, I'm trying to test out my new Plex system because, I spent the last couple of weeks. I actually mentioned on the last podcast I was setting up a Plex thing. Yes, I'm copying Sully because I'm a wannabe loser. It doesn't have any original ideas. And I said, hey, I want in on this $250 plus hobby. So I bought a 212 terabyte hard drive, which I can't back up. So when I lose all of that information, I'm fucked. But anyways, yeah. But I've been loading it up with just the worst of the worst stuff that you normally wouldn't get on Hulu or Netflix or HBO Max, but stuff that you might get. But you might get to watch Night Court on, say, like Freevee, one of those free apps with ads. But on my version, you get the one that's taped off of the biography channel. And really, Don't you prefer that version, the truncated, edited, 100%, so they can cram in more commercials without the commercials? Without commercials. So anyways, but yeah, so we're gonna watch that. Barney Miller. You want the Super Mario Brothers cartoon from 1990?
Do I?
Do you want to see helicopters? Because I got that movie too.
No.
Yeah.
No,
you don't like Goodfellas?
I do not.
Oh man, we'll have to watch Casino instead.
No. Those are one-offs for me.
Yeah, that and Joker, right? They're right up there. All the Robert De Niro movies.
Pretty much, yeah.
No. I saw Raging Bull. That's enough.
Look, I don't like Italians. Let's just put it out there. We
already know you don't like the Portuguese. Let it be known that also the Italians, you're on the list as well. So yeah, we're gonna watch some Plex. And I also have like game shows, like just stupid ass game shows. Like, you remember Blockbusters? Nobody remembers Blockbusters.
No.
Hosted by Bill Cullen from 1980. It's a game where there's it's like a honeycomb lettering on the board, and it's about the premise is they're one contestant versus two contestants, a family pair, and their premises are two heads better than one. And what you're supposed to do is connect from top to bottom if you're one side, or left to right if you're the other side. And you pick there are different letters on the board, and you pick the letter, and they say what B was the something, and then you answer, and it's it's boring. It's almost as boring as I'm making it out to be right now.
What I like about my friend Mike's Plex, and what I'm gonna like about Joe's Plex, I look at it as Napster. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you can find, but you can't find these live versions of things. And Napster was great. And there was some stuff, albums that I loved in college that aren't for sale anyways, were small local bands or something like that. Or they did a limited release to like college radio in 93. And here Napster was 10 years later. It's like, oh my God, I can get this Warlock Pincher thing. And it's the same thing. The stuff that Mike has and that Joe will have on there is stuff that I would actually watch, that you couldn't find on Hulu, that you couldn't find on,
Yeah, you have to scour the internet and those skeevy torrent sites, where people, thank God for VHS. I can't thank VHS enough, because it preserved the past. Like, if VHS didn't exist, we wouldn't have, you wouldn't have been able to watch Open All Night.
No.
So, and thank God for the genius who taped it.
Oh.
And then held it for 30 years and then uploaded it.
Right, when that, and again, we did a whole deep dive into that show I love, Open All Night. 12 episodes taped, only 9 aired, and somebody had taped them. You cannot find that anywhere. And you're right.
So you think I could find old Holmes and Yo-Yo episodes?
Yes.
I'm
putting that on the list. Holmes and Yo-Yo. Eh? Oh, is that the one with John Shuck?
John Shuck is like a robot or
android. Yes.
And he's like their detective.
I think I just broke Jacques by pulling that out of my ass. Yeah, do you know what John Shuck is? He's a comedian. He was on the Gilbert Gottfried podcast, but I remember they talked about Holmes and Yo-Yo, because I was like, what the fuck is Holmes and Yo-Yo? And I IMDb'd it, and I looked it up. I was like, wow, that's awful.
I used to watch it, so I'm the sad guy.
No, hey, you know what? We're gonna putting it onto the list for next time.
Where did you watch it? Was this Toronto or Hawaii?
I think it was. I want to say it was Hawaii, but it might have been Toronto. It was. I think it's late 70s. So.
Oh man, no. Here's your no, but
well, the pilot episode is on YouTube, and so you can, if you look on YouTube for Holmes and Yo-Yo, you'll find a couple of episodes. You'll be pleasantly surprised.
No, that is awesome. But that's what I love about that stuff. It's like,
or like those old those old animes from the late 70s and stuff. I mean, those are, I guess, more preserved than others. But
it's funny because I did, and we've talked about that when Star Blazers and Force 5, all these Japanese shows came on over, and
Yeah, I know. I mean, people tell me these, titles, and I don't know what you're talking about, and then I look at it and say, oh, okay, so that's not how I know that particular, work.
Right. It was localized a little differently
like Gigantor is not meaningful to the Japanese.
Right. And Grandizer Go. And it's really funny. My favorite part is when they brought them over, they didn't do new title cards. They just made the English in a darker, bigger, bolder font.
And they plastered it over. Yeah.
Font.
That's how America does it, baby. We just get bigger and bolder and just stamp it out. That's all.
But yeah, that's the great thing about, you coming up with your Plex thing and our friends. So, look, I don't mind paying for content. I won't forget this. Management's friend was over and 80s dance movies came up in conversation, and management was like, oh, it all started with Breakin'. And this woman hadn't heard of Breakin'. And it's like, Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, greatest name of any sequel ever.
Greatest punchline to any joke.
Any joke.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Hands down. And now, anyways.
Yeah.
The original, though, Breakin', nowhere to be found. Right. And we went everywhere, to Apple TV, to Amazon, could not find it. And we called our friend, Sully. It was up on his Plex site within 15 minutes. And I would have paid $20 to own that,
Yeah.
And there were some names in it. Like there's some, IMDb that movie. I mean, there was a reason they made a sequel, it did
what?
So well.
Somebody brought up on a podcast that I listened to about how made-for-TV movies from like the 80s and 70s kind of, they just basically turned into the Lifetime network. But those old movies that just like the movies of the week, they're nowhere to be seen except on YouTube if somebody uploads them. So there should be you wish there was like a channel that would curate all this stuff so you could, just stream non the 24-hour movie of the week.
Right.
Channel.
No, I'm surprised somebody, there's got to be lots of rights things.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're a rights holder, look, we all know the Day After, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble. There's a handful of those absolutely iconic ones. Roots. But 95% of them aired once, never seen again. So
Stone Pillow.
What do the rights holders really want for this? It's like, let's see, we'll give you this Bed Bath & Beyond coupon and $50.
I have a Casio and $2.
But it is that would be brilliant. And one of the great things is the people who have all these VHS that somehow made it through all the improper storage and the moves, the commercial. So when Joe sends me a link to the second annual MTV New Year's Eve party with Duran Duran, that was awesome. Management loved it. The commercials, though.
Yeah.
The commercials.
They're the clear winner.
When you say that, it's really too bad that I have a bunch of these old Headbangers Balls episodes recorded. But because, I wanted to save space, I paused during the commercials, and I feel like
I had that same short-sightedness. At the time, you thought you were a genius because it's like, hey man, I'm saving myself the hassle of pressing the FF button for at least a second or two.
Whereas on the other hand, when I was recording stuff in Japan to send to my friends, I was recording only the commercials because those were great.
But it's true. I mean, that was the old thing. The commercials around the world were always great, and you would have the biggest stars in the world flying over there. I just remember Woody Allen always being the pretentious, prick he is, looking down at commercialization, and then it turns out every year he would fly over to France. And
Hold on, let me get Mr. Allen on the phone.
Wait. He used to have do a commercial in Japan.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because back then, I'm going to go make all this money in France. I'm going to go make all this money doing Japanese commercials, but then I'm going to be back here talking about how awful the industry is and commercialization and all that.
Right, and they'll never be the wiser.
Right. The people never thought.
And you know what the most sacrilegious of the commercials that was? Sean Connery was peddling Japanese whiskey.
Ooh. Not Scotch.
Wow.
How dare you?
Yeah, he could have probably lost his knighthood if he had that,
He deserves a slap.
But the Arnold Schwarzenegger commercials are probably just about the best.
Oh yeah, they're
the best.
Right.
The best. No, you gave us a heads up a while ago. I'm blanking on his name. Men in Black. Not Will Smith.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, you're talking about the Tommy Lee Jones, yeah.
Those were great.
Well, and not just that, he to flip the whole story. they call him Jones, and he's an alien. So in those commercials, he's the alien.
That's hysterical.
Wow.
Yes, right. Yes, I remember watching those now. And he did like
those are good.
Dozens of them, he was
It's been going for about 12 years.
He was the Hey Vern guy for Japan.
The Ernest P. Worrell.
Ernest P. Worrell.
Oh man,
we will do an Ernest P. Worrell sideshow.
Oh God, I mean, I'm not an Ernest aficionado, but
the thing is,
I will become one for this podcast.
I'll tease a future sideshow. I used to only see them when I would go see my dad once a year in Buffalo. He was a local guy, not local Buffalo. He would
target local markets,
commercials nationally, but for local markets.
Right.
So he was always whatever, little soda here or whatever. And it was a groundswelling.
There's a 60 Minutes piece with Jim Varney on like YouTube that explains like how he got started, and it also shows him like doing Shakespeare.
Yeah, right.
And it's him recreating a scene from Hamlet, and then he turns to the camera and he goes, "Know what I mean?" I mean, the guy was a Shakespearean trained actor.
Oh my God! Yeah, no, right. When you find out that some of these like hair metal bands, all came out of like Berkeley,
yes.
or like Juilliard. It's like there's so many of these. And the metal that they play, it's like 3 chords and loud and headbang. And I'm not talking the ones who are like these proficient, like, oh my God, the virtuoso on it. And you're like, wait a minute, they spent that, but good for them.
You got to be smart to be that good, sometimes.
You know what?
We could probably do a whole thing on like, going like there's like the Energizer battery guy, the Australian guy.
Oi, Jocko, right?
Right.
Yeah, I remember him.
All those, these guys who just kind of had this moment of fame, kind of a thing, right?
Yahoo Serious.
But it is true. It like you see, because I joke about it all the time. Like when you watch a TV show and some guy has like one line on like Law and Order, Criminal Investigation. He got like 3 callbacks for that,
Yeah.
And he's an actor. He's doing off-Broadway. He's taking classes. He's been grinding, and 3 auditions for this one.
I mean, it reminds me of the Weird Al song "Skipper Dan."
It's Skipper. Oh, do you know that Skipper Dan song? It's one of my favorite ones. It's not a hit.
It's not, and it's not even a parody
because it's not a parody. It's an original, but it's amazing.
Yeah, it's about the tour guide on the Jungle Cruise ride. And how he went, he went to Juilliard, and when he should have listened to his dad and gone to business school instead. It's just a great, heartbreaking, awful, but wonderful song.
And where the Jungle Cruise is my favorite ride at Disney. It 100% is. There's no close second.
And I think that song made that movie with the Rock happen.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. I literally would not be surprised.
No, I think it's Disney just trying to say, what other rides can we turn into movies? Is there a movie about the line for waiting for these rides?
Okay, we're gonna get into some good and some awful. I'm going to start with something awful because you brought it up. It wasn't going to be the first thing I was going to talk to. You mentioned 60 Minutes just now. 60 Minutes has been on the air for 50 years.
Oh, God, at least. Yeah.
Maybe more, right?
Yeah. The most respected.
1970s.
Yes. They're prestigious.
They are, right? They're
sure.
The most prestigious news program.
They would never make any blunder.
Wow.
Until now. I guess that means, Joe, you take it over.
Please.
I just saw the tweet this morning that 60 Minutes is promoting Sunday night's episode with an interview with Leslie Stahl, interviewing the in-your-face, tell her opinion like it is of Marjorie Taylor Greene, or known by her nickname MTG. She's just, she doesn't care what you think.
She doesn't care. And the thing is, I will never get over, and I've shown my boys this, she came to prominence. She came to prominence on the national news, or not the national news, on the national stage by chasing 17-year-old David Hogg down the streets of D.C. after he testified as Senate. He's 17 years old at the time.
Yeah, survivor of a mass shooting at Parkland.
And she is accosting him. And first of all, why didn't he have security? Why weren't there other people with him? But she chases him down the street for 2 city blocks, screaming at him that he has no right to try to take the guns, that it's your security guard's fault that your friends are dead. And it wasn't like somebody caught this on film. She was having it filmed. She had a film crew ready to ambush this kid. He's a child. And the survivor, and that's how she came to prominence. And just this past week, here she is on the House floor ranting that 30 years ago, Joe Biden took away their guns. When she was a junior in high school, that he took away their guns, and when a gunman came to their school, that's why they weren't able to protect themselves. He wasn't president 30 years ago. Checking my notes, just maybe he was. Maybe he was. And the fact that nobody will stand up in her party and say, you know what? I don't like Joe Biden either. These are the things I hate about him. Sleepy Joe, Hunter, all that stuff. But the fact that you're letting her go on C-SPAN.
Yeah, nobody learns. Nobody cares. And then, you're trying to defend the media because they get attacked by the right so much. But then at the same time, it's just like shit like this happens. And it's like, guys, we're trying to maintain some sort of credibility and, go to bat for you. Let's stick with the journalism.
I mean, the same week that all the last 2 weeks, all the stuff that's coming out at Fox and how much Fox hated Trump and how much Fox knew that it was all bullshit
the
Dominion thing, because they got access to all the text messages and the emails, the company emails. They all knew it was bullshit. They all knew, but that's still Fox News. I mean, it doesn't make it okay. But this is Leslie Stahl on 60 Minutes. It's
at the same time, it's
I mean, the fact that she's interviewing him, I don't think it's necessarily that horrible. But the way they're, because I saw the same tweet and I think it's like MTG is not afraid to answer any questions or something like that. It was something where it basically made her seem like this kind of this.
It lionized her in a way.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, absolutely. It's like, yeah,
or like a maverick.
Yeah, kind of like that. When she's really just dumb as a doornail, right? I mean,
she's a crazy person, a literal crazy person.
Right. I mean, this is a person who's a 9/11 truther who thinks things like Newtown and Parkland didn't happen. She has said that she's been on the forefront, before she became a congresswoman, saying that these are staged, that these are crisis actors, and now she's sitting on the Homeland Security thing. A person who doesn't believe 9/11 happened is she thinks that we know 9/11 happened, the towers went down, but she's one of those people that don't think anything hit the Pentagon, that third plane is a lie and all this. Anyways,
but I think the most we don't know what let's be fair, we haven't seen the interview yet. We don't know what the context is going to be. We don't know how Leslie Stahl will interview or how they're going to frame the questions, how they edit it. But the tweet alone, like you said, Biff, it seemed to promote Marjorie Taylor Greene as some sort of like John McCain maverick that doesn't play by the typical party rules, and she's going to shake things up. Even if they didn't intend it to be like that, they kind of made her sound sexy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is she that dumb, or is this just a grift? And the people who support her, are they home saying, "Yeah, Biden took away her guns when she was a junior in high school"?
Yeah,
and then you had the other one, Boebert. If you saw that clip this week, it's just an embarrassment. Long story short, if you didn't see this, Biff, she had this gotcha.
Lauren Boebert, right?
Lauren Boebert. There was.
Are you talking about the
P?
She was talking about the provisions,
right?
Yeah.
And she's grilling this guy from D.C. saying that, they tried to make peeing okay in D.C. and they repealed this law, and how dare you?
Public urination.
Public urination. Yeah, the public urination. And the guy's like, no, it's against the law. And she kept asking, saying, he's like, no, but you voted to decriminalize it. And he's like, no, I actually didn't. We have evidence that this. And she kept going, and he's like, dude, no, that's not what the law. And he's trying to be polite, and I don't know why. She's being hostile. This is her big gotcha moment.
Well, obviously, if you're a reporter in that position, it pays to be the cooler head in the room. It doesn't make why lose your shit? Why talk crazy to a crazy person?
No, you're right. But the thing is that those are two powerful congresspeople.
But why are they powerful?
Who could hold up the debt ceiling? Which again,
why are they powerful? Because of who they are. Because of the crowd they draw.
Right, and it's a minority, but it's the loud minority.
Yeah,
So let's.
It's just staggering how dumb the voters are in this country.
It literally is scary, and the fact that they're trying to keep smart people from being able to vote. That's, anyways,
and black people.
Well,
whoa. Not saying that black and smart are different. Just all around, if you're black, they don't want you voting. Hi, my name is Joe. I like to apologize.
And then, so let's talk about the amazing news in the last 48 hours that it had happened. It finally happened. He's finally been indicted. That there's actually criminal charges.
He's so indicted, and he just can't hide it.
Somebody did a couple songs. I've heard a couple songs where, anyways, I'm not even going to try to break them down. No, thank you. Hold on. Train back on the tracks. Restart the engine.
Derails.
But yeah, get out. He finally has been indicted, and I'm gonna let you guys talk about it.
Oh yeah, Biff. Yes, you talk about the indictment, please, and give us all of your expertise.
I mean, look, it's like anything, right? It's like people get indicted, and we'll see what happens. I mean, is it meaningful if he just gets indicted, and if he's not found guilty? I don't know. Like, because like the others, the people who support him don't give a crap, right? They only give a crap if something actually happens that have consequences. So, right?
Yeah, I'm bummed that they're not going to put him in handcuffs, though.
Has that been decided?
That's kind of been decided. I heard on at least early reports.
Well, so here, let's. I know we don't want to talk about him that much, and we've been doing really good the last few months now. But this kind of have to. He says he wants to do the perp walk. He wants to be shown in handcuffs. Which, does he really, or is that all bravado? Because he will grift off of that. I mean, if more people see him as.
I mean, it's probably good for him, right? Publicity wise, to be in the handcuffs. It's something he could use for later, right? I mean,
so here's one of the big questions. In the state of New York, headshots or mugshots are not public record. So we're not going to see the mugshot unless it gets leaked. Is there any chance it doesn't get leaked? And if that is a hairpiece that he has, you can't take your mugshot it's
not a hairpiece. It's just a really weird ass comb over.
All right.
Yeah.
But, it's going to be interesting because, I mean, that was the big thing when Phil Spector, those were all wigs, baby. Those are all wigs. So a couple things. A lot of people were saying, oh, this is going to help them. It's like,
Also, did you know RuPaul? All wigs, too.
All wigs. Did you know that RuPaul... What? And I did not know this. I just found this out this week. Was the singer like early on, like his foray into entertainment and a punk band.
Oh wow, cool. Yeah. Do you know this?
Oh yeah, the whole punk rock he was like one of those like weirdly super supportive punk rockers.
So super supportive.
Go around,
nice.
Yeah. Like to all the other, you hear all these. Yeah, no, I did.
Is there nothing RuPaul can't do?
No, he. Genius.
Yeah.
Genius. But yeah, so I think, he'll get a little bump in the ratings now, but this is serious. Like he can have all the bravado. And the interesting thing about this case is that, first of all the cases that went first, it's interesting that it's this one. No matter what case went first, everybody, the sycophants, like they're all lining up. They're all lining up, the Lindsey Grahams, everybody else, saying this is a nothing burger. This is an accounting error. It's like, okay, stop. Michael Cohen went to jail for this. Michael Cohen not only went to prison, he went to federal prison. He wasn't charged on state level. He was charged by Donald J. Trump and William Barr's Justice Department. William Barr could have stopped this prosecution at any time. Trump could have pardoned him at any time. And it's just great, the fact that he didn't pardon him, and now it's come back to, it would have cost him nothing to pardon him. But then people were like, well, people would have said, oh, he's guilty. He's saving his own ass by pardoning him. Whatever reason he didn't pardon him has now come back. And the two best tweets so far is, of course, Stormy Daniel saying
Stormy.
the pussy is grabbed back.
Nice.
And the Central Park 5 karma. One word tweet from the spokesperson of the Central Park 5 karma. Now this is the thing. All the shows I've been listening to and all the reading, everybody's been playing like reverse chicken to see who was going to go first. Was Georgia, was this. Now that somebody has actually indicted him, now that the dam has burst, will the other indictments, will we see a January 6th thing? Will we see, we know the rape trial can go forward. He's lost his last appeal on that. But is this the first? Will they let this one play out? Or while he's going through the process, will Georgia step forward? Will the January 6th step forward? Will the stolen documents step forward? I mean,
yeah, I don't think the stolen document will, only because that thing is, unless they can find like actual evidence that thing got passed to the Russians or something like that. I just think that is, he's just a very extreme version of a lot of sloppiness. We're finding that, right? Biden had the same thing, and it doesn't really necessarily surprise me.
The difference is this, Biff. The archives knew for a year that he had documents he wasn't supposed to have, and they were trying to work with him. Here, let's just round it out. Here's the 100 documents that are missing that we think you might have. Yeah. Nope. Yeah. We know you have them. Nope. And then, okay, we'll give these back. And they signed an affidavit, saying this is everything. So the thing is,
I'm not questioning any of that though. But I mean, just think about it in terms of, it makes it so easy to say, well, if Trump is guilty, so is Biden. You could make that justification.
Yeah, right? I know that's.
I think just the noise is just going to overwhelm it.
Yeah, you typically right. I mean, and I was talking about this with a friend of the podcast of ours, and he's like, you know what? Yeah, Trump's probably not going to get charged for something like that, because if one side does get charged, then that opens it up for the other side to get charged. So it's kind of like, yeah, I guess the president is above the law in a lot of cases.
Well, the rape is something else. I think the rape is more likely.
Well, right, but
you also have to build a case.
I think something happens with the documents because, yes, there will be the whataboutism. There are people who believe that Marjorie Taylor Greene's had her guns taken away when she was a junior in high school. The dumb people are going to believe that. The big difference is the sloppiness of, look, I found these documents in my house. I'm going to notify that I have them. That's what Biden did. That what Mike Pence did. With this, they're like, we know you have
it's
these.
Obstruction of justice.
We
got
it. And so that's why you look, even if it's not the fact that it's one of those things. It's always the cover up. Maybe you don't get busted for having these documents, but you get busted because you signed this affidavit swearing that this was everything. So we'll see.
You know what? Maybe they're timing it to line up with.
Now that you said cover up and whatever, maybe him and Martha Stewart should do a show.
Look, as our good friend Taylor's always said, and he uses Martha Stewart as one of the examples. Him and the guy who I just mentioned, Phil Spector, admit guilt, apologize, keep the money. If Phil Spector says, oh my God, I was so high, I was drunk, this was horrible, I can't believe I did it, I took this woman's life, he never sees One Night in the Graybar Hotel. He's old, he's rich, he's white, he has a history of being crazy, but he doesn't have a history of actually ever shooting somebody. And so he gets sued out the yin-yang, which he did anyways, but he never, same thing with Martha Stewart's like, oh my God, I panicked, I made a bad decision, I'm so sorry I did this. She pays back the $100,000 that she, saved.
That's a minute of her revenue.
Pays a fine on top of that, and literally never sees a day in jail. So the same thing with any of this stuff. If he ever once said, "Oh my God, I can't believe we still have that. My bad. Please come and take these." But it's going to be interesting to see if Merrick Garland steps up, because I think the next thing is Georgia. I think the thing in Georgia is real. I mean, we've all heard the tapes. Like they're all on record. This isn't a he said, she said. He calls and specifically says,
"Find me 28,000 more votes."
So now this podcast drops on Monday. He's supposed to turn himself in on Tuesday. Now, the two rumors are, is he going to show up? Is he going to actually get on a plane and fly and turn himself in on Tuesday?
And then fly back out. No, because all he has to do is just go up to a stand and go, not guilty.
But the whole thing has been brewing is Ron DeSantis has said, yeah, he won't extradite him if he refuses to go. So how many times has his lawyers negotiated something and then him throw it out in the ninth hour? So if he doesn't come up, Ron DeSantis is now trying to buddy up with his supporters by saying, I will not let them extradite, a Florida citizen. It's like,
oh, but I mean, I think that's the smart political move, right? I mean, that's what you do, right?
For him.
Because it's more important for him to, make him appear as he's essentially going to screw over the political left that's, creating this, nothing burger, right? That's his narrative, right? So he's got to further that narrative, right? There's just no way he can,
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I mean,
and do we think anything happens with his? Will there be a big turnout? Will his supporters show up? Will there be protest?
At least as much as they did in Waco.
I mean, I don't think. I don't know. No, this one's a little milder. This one isn't like him drumming up the fervor of take your country back. Let's all meet at the Capitol on the day that they're going to ratify the election.
Now, I don't know how deeply you guys have followed this. Was this a smoke show? Was this gamesmanship on the prosecutor's part? So it was a week ago Thursday. That everybody thought that this indictment was going to happen. The news was breaking. Rumors were coming out of the grand jury room that, yeah, they found this guilty. And I remember Al Franken had hosted the Daily Show that week. And on Wednesday, he's like, if they don't indict him tomorrow, I'm hosting this. I will never forgive, because he didn't want to miss out on it. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. So Monday rolls around, nothing. Tuesday rolls around, nothing. Wednesday rolls around, and they make the announcement that the grand jury is going to take a break for a month. They're going to adjourn for a month. And dipshit, if it was bait, took the bait, and he tweets out, they found nothing. I love this grand jury. They saw that this was all political. They saw all through this. I love them. They're awesome. The next day, so they did. They made a big thing saying this grand jury is taking a break for a month, and everyone's like, wait, what? No, just a week ago, the indictments were going imminent. Even so, two Thursdays ago, Trump had tweeted out, they're going to arrest me on Tuesday. I'm going to get arrested on Tuesday. Nothing happens on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, we went from the rumors to him saying he's getting arrested to Wednesday, the announcing that they're taking a break. And I was so pissed. And nothing happened on Thursday till the end of the day. And so I'm like, did they, I don't know the gamesmanship. And I guess what's going to be interesting, the indictment's not going to be unsealed till next Tuesday, but hush, hush, keep it down, voices carry. Shut up, John.
Until Tuesday.
I ran into Amy Mann at the airport once with, what's his face? Sean Penn's brother.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think they're a couple.
That song, by the way, was about Trent Reznor.
Oh, yeah.
They were an item back then. Anyways, I have derailed again. So it's going to be interesting because I guess there's some 20 different charges. So we don't know if it's just about this or if this is the attention.
What would be awesome? You know what would be awesome? You know what I really want to see? Public urination.
The game.
I'll show you public urination.
The game show
public urination. I want public urination as one of the charges.
The game show fan in me is just picturing a big press your luck board, and every one of the tiles has a different charge, and it's just like, which one is it? Stop. Oh, we got the whammy. No charges. All
right. So where would it be? You know what? That brings us right into Self-Indulgent Theater. And I talked to Joe about this. I don't know. Yeah, about the heckler / person who went up at stand-up the other day.
Oh, right.
Should I just play this?
I don't know. You listen. You want to play a recording of somebody who you didn't get there.
I'm playing it, but do I want to talk about it first or just play it now?
You want to shoot me now or wait till you get home, kind of thing. I don't know.
I wish we could play it on that. While we're recording that. I mean, have it on this, but either way, I'm using that for Zoom. So I don't think it works.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I think if we talk about it less, it's harder for you to get sued.
I have no comment on the matter, except don't play it. But anyways, I don't care. What do they? Yeah.
Well, okay. Let's throw it out there. Let's talk to Biff about this. So I'm doing an open mic at this place.
I thought I said don't talk about it.
Small room. And
you can't shut up.
No. I want your opinion on this.
He's like the criminal that won't shut up.
Right.
All right, I'm playing it. I tried to get feedback, but I'm just gonna roll with it. Okay.
No, I mean, I'm saying that if you're gonna play it anyway, you might as well provide as little context as possible.
I don't know. This is stupid. Listen, if you play something, you have to frame it. So,
right. So
fucking frame the goddamn piece.
Fine.
A woman came into the open mic, was heckling everybody, was being a real a-hole, and it was in the back of this Irish bar in the small room. There's like 15 people. She kept going back and forth. And at one point, she said she was going to go up, and the open mic's about over, and people are starting to get ready to go. And half the room was like, let's sneak out before she gets back in here. And the other half, which I was part of, was like, no, I want to watch this train wreck happen. Yeah. And then she staggers back in and starts her set. And I wish I recorded the whole thing, talking about how she's not really a stand-up. She's never did this, but she's funnier than everybody in this room. She's done routines at her friends' houses during the parties, and everybody tells her how funny she is, and then goes on to tell this story. And she was introduced by her request as the class clown of Arlington High of 1990. Mm-hmm. And Dane Cook graduated Arlington High in 1990, but she is funnier than him. And
but to be fair, Dane Cook's not that funny.
That's like one of those like Carrot Top things. There are some people who
I think Carrot Top is hilarious.
Well, that's what I mean. And then there's some people who absolutely shit on him like no, there's no tomorrow.
I guess this is sort of the audio equivalent of somebody posting something on TikTok or YouTube, just kind of like, or like a Karen video, Right. This is an audio Karen video, if you will.
And what a Karen, I won't use their real name, and I won't say where it was. Right. So, if they ever hear this podcast, we're reaching a wider audience. So kudos for us.
Right. So here it is, your comedy Karen of the week.
Opened up in the Boston Garden, and I came out of the elevator, and I was like, Dane Cook, look at me. I graduated with you, class of 1990. Let me in your suite. He was like, I don't know anything about you. I was like, no, you know who I am. I graduated high school with you. No, I don't know you. I was like, yes, you do. You just don't want to invite me in your suite because you know I'm funnier than you because I got class clown and you didn't. And he was like, no. I was like, oh, okay. That's how we're going to roll with this party right now. Anyways, that's how that night folded out. I played many, I had never done any of these like open night like things, but I've played many parties of being a comic. But tonight, I'm going to introduce you to my best friend. Who's way funnier than I may be.
She's the class clown. Kick that canceled gas ass.
No, definitely didn't kick anyone. It smells so good.
What's his name again? You smell good, baby.
Oh.
Anyone else hard?
Dane Cook was his name.
Dane Cook.
Dane Cook was his name. And he used the butt plugs that were all over the floor tonight.
Listen to Duck Dane.
If I didn't stop drinking years ago, I would have now.
I'll give it to you, baby. She owns this record.
Yeah.
All bars.
days. That's all you with the butt plugs and the dice.
No way, the Jambo must continue.
Thank you very much.
I have no idea whether.
The class cloud of 1990. All performers are invited to clear the stage.
Down to this structure.
All right.
This is a bunch of funny guys.
Reports as yet. Please stand by for further details. We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
So lots of video game news to get into now. My little guy, the youngest one, who I cannot believe is 30 days away from being a teenager. It's like, I'm just going to have to drop him off at the fire station. I think that's the cutoff in Massachusetts is 13. But anyways, his life has become football. And by football, I mean, the football, the rest of the word. Yes, he does not like the other word. But he's been playing FIFA a lot. And it's really kind of awesome because he really took the time to put himself on Manchester United. Like his number, I remember, and I'm surprised you still can't do it. Are there any games you can put your own faces into the game?
There used to be able to, like, I remember when like the Nintendo 64 first came out, like they had like weird like games where you could, like, I guess it was like a camera attachment. You could take a picture of yourself and then paste it, like the early PC games. Like I remember like the early like NHL 2000 or something. Like you could take a video or picture of your face and put your face on.
Because I know it was Wasey Urich, who lived with us for a while. He played an entire season. Like they had an entire 80 game, 4 rounds of the playoff season, and a game was like 15 minutes long, 10-15 minutes long. But it was great. It was his face on the player,
right?
But my little guy did. He put himself in the game, and it's cool because if you have the game on pause, it kind of goes into screensaver mode and it shows highlights from the last game that you played, and then like a news scroll of what happened. And it's just great to see, like, he scored a hat trick and this, and he has long hair in the game, but they won't let him have, like, the characters don't have his long hair. It's like he's long blonde, like shoulder length. Stuff.
It's not like Fallout 4, like level of detail, or Red Dead Redemption.
Right. We can shave.
Now, Ted Lasso is this the one like Ted Lasso's actually in the?
Yes, yes, it is.
Right, because I saw that. Did you see that thing where he was talking about how his kid, saw Ted Lasso and they said, "Why are you in my game?" And then, "Why do you look so angry?" So,
and the whole. You can be different players from. You can play as that team. You can, but they're
Roy Kent.
You can be Roy Kent, and I've seen like Brett Goldstein talk about playing his nephew as his character, and he's like, "There's nothing better than scoring a goal as Roy Kent on your 12-year-old nephew." No, it's great. It really is. I was excited about that. I was literally excited that great, AFC Richmond is actually in the game.
I haven't watched the new season yet.
Where management is away for 8 days, so I'm looking forward to looking. We haven't even started yet, and I'm debating, like, do I just wait to the end of the season and watch it through? Do we watch it? I just don't want too many spoilers, so we'll probably start watching it with like a few episodes left. At the same time, I'm so nervous because I just loved season 1. Season 1 was my favorite episode of TV ever. Right up until season 2, and when you touch the sun with that, and it's like, right,
but then you got to see how, if there's, who's the character that turned it?
Nate.
So Nate, you got to see how Nate the Great becomes like the Darth Vader of,
and I you know what, I think I'm gonna write out what I think happens this season and see how close I come, to the end.
Ted Lasso fan fiction.
Yeah, there's so much of that out there. Like, if you follow on Twitter, it's disgusting. So it turns out, Biff and Joe knows this very well because Joe has seen me go through rehab a couple times. I am the equivalent of alcoholic when it comes to video games. Like
specific video
games. Like, I can go the first time Joe saw this, and we're just going to call Joe, call him out for what he is, an enabler. I hadn't played video games in a very long time. In 98, $8.99. Joe shows up in LA and puts Qbert on my work computer.
Qbert.
Well, yeah,
Oh
because
my God.
the MAME arcade emulator on PCs was coming up at the time, and I did recently discovered it through our friend of the podcast, Peter. Like, he gave me a MAME CD with like all the old school arcade games on it, and so I copied that and I put that on Jacques' work computer in LA, and because he was like, trying to get Jacques to like anything that I like that isn't, that isn't comedy is kind of a struggle. So, but I was like, yeah, let's play this game. Remember Qbert? Hey, remember Qbert? And then like the next day, he admonishes me for putting it on there because like, dude, I haven't gotten any work done in the past 24 hours. I rotated the keyboard because Qbert's, if you remember, Qbert's joystick function was diagonal instead of the up, down, left, right. It was more of like diagonally oriented. So to become better at Qbert, you tilted your keyboard to orient the arrow keys so that you could play better. And oh my God, I created a monster.
It was, I mean, I would stay after work and it's like, oh my God, is the sun coming up? I have to go home, shower, get clothes and come back. So I love me the Batman Arkham games and I like me the Resident Evil, but I'll go months, years without playing any game at all. Like, just know it. Like, I'm watching Squishy, play FIFA. I'm like, oh my God, that's great. That looks like a lot of fun. My other guy plays some cool games, and sometimes, he likes if I sit in the room, like any kid would like you to watch them play, junior high basketball to come watch me play Don't Starve for an hour. But when a new Resident Evil game comes out,
which is now annually,
it is now annually
like Star Wars.
No, what they do, Biff, is there's maybe 30 games in the whole franchise, but there's like 8 main games. And what they've done over the past 5-6 years is 6 comes out. And then, the technology has gone from PS3 to PS4. Why don't we re-put out 2? And it's the same game, but with, 20 years better processing speed and graphics and
gameplay and mechanics and all that stuff. Yeah.
And
just quality of life improvements.
And then next year, Resident Evil 8 comes out. And then the following year, let's redo Resident Evil 4. So that's what just came out as Resident Evil 4.
Which, by the way, is considered by many Resident Evil fans to be the best of the games. Yeah. And so now this is like, I think it's being well received, right?
So Resident Evil 4, and like you said, like our friend who's been on the podcast, he knows as much about Resident Evil as I do, like, Batman or Star Wars. His son is named after the main protagonist in the whole franchise, Albert Wesker. Yeah, his name is Wesker, his son. And Joe found this great panel discussion with these experts like a year ago. It was a 2-hour breakdown of game to game. All of them.
They ranked them.
All of them had 4, either 1, 2, or 3. And then just, on the Oculus last year, Resident Evil 4 came out on the Oculus, and it was considered the greatest video game the Oculus has ever put out. Not horror game, not Resident Evil game, the best game. So it came out. My son's playing it. And I'm like, fine, I'll go through it. I liked 4. I didn't love it because it was still tankish controllers.
No, Resident Evil 4 is when they broke tank controls. That became like the third person over the shoulder.
Right, but it wasn't. I jumped on the Resident Evil bandwagon with 5.
Right.
And from 4 to 5, the controllers got so much better.
Mm-hmm.
It was night and day better. So when I went back to play 4, I liked it. It's a great story. It's a great story. But yeah, it's great. And it's so great that I'm just telling you, because it's like the weekend and I can't play the game at all because, that's the kids' weekend time.
There's only one PS5 so far.
And there's only one PS5 so far. The other day, it was everything I could do. I had to run to the mall.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, dude, what?
They're sitting right there now.
Are you really going to just do that?
It's like a $600 system. But they're available.
They're available, but if you get the, you can get the 350 version. I think there's a 350 or 4 version.
Like a plain kind of bare bones one.
Yeah, it's just bare bone ones. And I'm thinking, but I would then have to get a cheap $125 TV and put it out in the clubhouse because there's no way I can tell management there's 2 PS5s in the house.
Why are you in your car so often? Why is this extension cord running to the car?
I'm gonna go practice stand up in the clubhouse for the next day.
Right. And if you hear me screaming at the top of my lungs, it's me doing my act.
Oh, but yeah, between the little guy putting himself in fever, and
I'm
it's
practicing my stand up. Yeah, it takes a lot of practice.
And the thing is, I'm talking to Joe about this the other day, and he's one of only 2 or 3 people who really get it. Like, I'm going to do an open mic, and in my head, I'm trying to get ready for the set I'm going to do, and I'm like, oh man, at that last level, I could not find that last key that unlocks this, and I'm going to have to backtrack, and I'm doing the whole math of like how much time I'm going to have to go back, and then I'm like, oh, but it's now Friday night, I'm not going to be able to do this till Monday afternoon, and just the whole unravel, like the time.
Do you find yourself scratching your neck in between?
Yes, like I literally have. I have an addiction problem, you know?
No, I mean,
it used to be breasts.
I used to think foolishly that video games were not an addiction. They are. They release dopamines.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, back when I used to play, like Resident Evil was my, like especially the first 2.
Yeah,
and then after that I kind of quit because I think what happened was that I couldn't play anymore because I was so busy with Y2K, and then I never picked it up after that. Because I think, is that about when Resident Evil?
Yes,
100%.
98
or 99?
Yeah,
right.
And management, management loves it. Like there are times when the different games come out. She loves the puzzle solving process of it. Like I like, and there's been times when I'm like, all right, just hand her the controller so she can figure it. Because I will get frustrated. I'm not saying I've ever thrown or broken a controller. I'm not saying.
You don't have to. I never say I've bitten a controller once. But I have. As a kid, I remember just going like, so fucking mad that I couldn't. Like, I spent 3 hours on Mario 3, and I can't finish this fucking game because of this fucking one level. I'm just like, ugh. I can't throw the controller because then my dad will get mad that I broke the TV from throwing the controller. So I'm not going to go outside and exercise and vent this energy. So no.
And you didn't have a younger brother to go beat the shit.
I had a younger sister, and I'm not going to hit a girl.
No. Plus, my money's on her.
Yeah.
To the Portuguese women,
yes.
Don't
do not F with them.
No. So that's it. Sports. Hey, Joe brought something up. About the hockey night in Canada that I thought you would you like to chat about, Biff.
The only thing that I really watch with sports now is Real Sports on HBO. And it's a monthly, Real Sports.
Right, yeah.
A monthly thing.
Long running show.
It's great. It's a great show. Yeah. They had a lot of emotional stories this week, but one of them was like they usually cap it with a feel good story, and this one was about Harnarian Singh. Do you know Harnarian Singh?
He's is that the guy that does the Indian broadcast for Hockey Night in Canada?
Yeah, he's the Punjabi
guy. Yeah.
So now he's doing the English broadcast as well.
Right.
Yeah. But he became known as like he came to prominence with like I think when the Penguins won the Stanley Cup, he had a call that went viral. Bonito, what's his name? Bonito or Bolito? What the fuck? Is it Bonino?
Probably Nick Bonino.
Yeah, right? Bonino. He had a call that just went viral where he just kept repeating his name over and over again.
What year is that, Biff?
I think that was a 2017.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, anyways, they just made it was a follow up story to. They already did a piece on him being the Punjabi, call, but play caller, announcer for Hockey Night in Canada. But now he's the calling games in English, and it was great. It was just like he talked about like the racism that he gets from some fans.
What?
Yeah, shave that terrorist beard and get the fuck out of our country, kind of thing.
Wait, he's not broadcasting in America, right? Did we export racism?
They might have been playing an American team that night, and some American fans might have leaked in.
Yeah,
but
Canada's pretty racist.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly. So, but again, that didn't. Kudos to Hockey Night in Canada to like bump them up, so to speak.
100%. Yes.
But it was great because he was also showing the interviewer like his card of, because he's used to calling in Punjabi, but now he's doing more English, and he has to kind of reset his brain to like call games in English versus Punjabi, and he's got this cheat sheet of like typical English phrases,
Right.
different ways of saying like, the guy got hit or the guy passed the puck, but like just different things. And then one of the phrases that he had to modify was he lost his bacon. Is that something right? Is that you lose your bring home the bacon or something like that?
But he can't.
Yeah, but he's a vegetarian, so he had to like swap it out with another word, which I can't remember because I'm not that smart. And I just saw it this morning, but I mentioned it to you in passing. I didn't really mean to talk about it on the podcast.
No, I think it's great. I mean, I thought do you ever watch Hockey Night in Canada through any of your feeds? Do you get any of the games?
Yeah, I mean, typically like the Saturday games, I watch the Hockey Night in Canada feed if it's not blocked out by the NHL network. Yeah.
Is he doing the radio or the TV?
TV.
He is doing the TV. That's a huge promotion.
Yeah.
Like Hockey Night in Canada.
Well, he was doing the TV call into Punjabi as well.
I don't know if it still is, but Hockey Night in Canada forever was the highest rated show in Canada. And maybe it still is. So that's fantastic.
I don't think Dancing with the Stars made it up there to bump it off.
Are you saying Canadians can't dance?
I'm not saying.
Okay.
But that Saturday night 8:00 slot is still a monster.
Yeah.
So he might not have the main game, right? Because what's going to happen is there's the main game, right? But then they're going to have the regionals are going to get so if let's say Toronto Montreal might be the showcase game, right? But then if Ottawa's playing at home at 8:00, then that market might get Ottawa's. I think that's the way it kind of works.
Is it like the NFL does here? Like if the Patriots are playing, but if they don't sell out, you'll get somebody else's market game. And so, okay, interesting, but still great for them.
And he was telling his story about how when he was given the job with Hockey Night in Canada originally, like just a Punjabi calling job, he didn't want he so landed his dream job in his mind that he was such a nice, like, kind of humble guy. Like, he didn't want to even ask for travel expenses. He flew himself out. He rented his own car. He would call the game. He would rent a car, to go back to the airport, find a bench to sleep on, put his luggage between his legs so it wouldn't get stolen, and then get on the next flight.
What an amazing story. Seriously, that's absolutely great. Sticking with hockey, checking notes. No Stanley Cups have been won in March. Well, not in not in April. Not since they used to play for the Cup in April, but that's like 50s and stuff like that when it was more of a seasonal thing.
I mean, it's shorter season and shorter playoffs, right?
But now, it used to be 6 teams. You could only have the 2
now
rounds.
They play them in August, right?
Yeah.
Like, isn't it?
Dude, it's like late June now.
Yeah.
That said, the Bruins did break their team record. Which when you think you broke the record for most points in a season for your franchise, and you've been around since 1924, that's pretty damn impressive.
As you would say, and it's appropriate here, take a skate around.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's because it's the Bruins. Now, if the Rangers beat their own franchise record,
but I mean, any of those teams that have and they think that, like the 1971 Bruins at the time broke every record. Like, there was not a record for, most wins in a row, like
wait,
point
who won
differential.
the Stanley Cup in 71? Did they win the Stanley Cup in 71?
No, and that's why history. Like, I'm not like, as we're getting closer to the playoffs, I'm getting less interested. Like the defenses are starting to go around my heart to make sure that because
now you can focus on the Red Sox. They stunk.
Well, I could focus on the Red Sox because they're supposed to stink, and if they stink, it's like, yes, they're supposed to stink. They're projected to be 4 games under, and I only know this because when I listen to the Bruins, like in between the periods, like they do these news updates and everything like that. But anyways, I
do have one more hockey content that I want to plug,
please.
which is there's a guy named Jeff Skinner. You may have heard of him. He was kind of well, yeah. So he was actually kind of a hot rookie, and now he's now with the Sabres. He has this thing called Between Two Stalls, which is basically between two ferns, and it's actually pretty funny. So you should catch a couple of those episodes because it's Between Two Stalls with Jeff Skinner. It's
interesting.
Now
It's
you're
one of those
talking the stalls where a player is, not the brothers in the NHL.
Not the brothers.
Stall brothers. Okay.
Not the gay hating brothers. No.
Oh, are they? That's awful. I
Oh
wish I
my
didn't
God!
know
So
that.
two Stahl brothers, right, on the same Florida team, refused to wear the Pride jersey on Pride night.
Oh, pieces. I did hear that. I think, gosh, I don't want to say the wrong team, but the goalie for San Jose Sharks,
James Reimer, right?
It's like, dude, what the
uh,
fuck? It is what it is.
Yeah, it started with the guy named Ivan Provorov for the Flyers, who claimed that he'll be persecuted in Russia, and it's against his whatever BS, right? But that pretty much opened the door because they excused him, and then whatever.
So now that opens the gateway to what I'm watching on TV, which is interesting. I'm watching Perry Mason
on HBO.
It's like last season. I liked it. I really loved it last season. There was some tough watches. It's a reimagined, obviously. It takes place in the mid-30s. I think the original Perry Mason was in real time in like the late 50s. What's really interesting is, totally embracing the LGBTIA plus community for the time. There's a couple characters in there. There's two characters in there where it's the same roles, but they're different, reimagined. So Perry Mason's partner, and the TV show was his secretary. Here they're on equal footing and they have a secretary, but she's gay. And of course, gay 1930, so it's not out, but it's a great storyline. And it's funny because one of the people who works in the prosecutor's office is a gay guy, and they have to go to events together all the time as a couple. And their relationship is fantastic.
That's funny.
She says something clever and witty a few episodes ago, and he's like, "You might actually be my perfect woman." And she's like, "Clark Gable's your perfect woman," But it's funny that here these guys in the NHL are like that, but here's this reimagined show where one of the I wish I could remember Perry Mason's detective. Oh, the show was great, and it's and he
Raymond Burr is famously gay.
Right. But that's but in these characters, and the detective now is what's amazing is I love old Hollywood, like the history of and how it looked. Dude, it's amazing what you can do now to make it look like.
You can CG the shit out of stuff.
Yeah.
There's these shanty villages that were all around LA. LA was the shithole of the shitholes for, well, it still is, but but these shanty towns and stuff, and and they.
Well, to be fair, like Hollywood and Vine is so cleaned up now.
Oh,
so.
Well, it's like Times Square. Like Times Square, what Times Square is now.
In 1977. Oh, boy.
Wow.
Well, even
in 1985.
Yeah. It was until the mid-90s that it really
wasn't until Giuliani bust out all the homeless people.
Yeah.
And brought in Disney.
I remember when I first.
Whatever happened to him?
America's
I landed
mayor.
at my parents' house. I visited my parents in like 1985 or 86, and took the shuttle to like a Hilton on like 53rd and 8th or whatever, and literally about 100 yards from getting off that bus and walking towards my parents' apartment, I see this dude just kind of running, and this lady goes, "Catch him! He's got my purse!"
Oh, jeez!
Within the first 3 minutes of being in New York City, I'm thinking, yeah, that's. I remember that. That's what I heard about this place. Yeah, okay.
Oh, but it's amazing to see, like, and then they weave in all the stories that happened at the time when, the city would just take over property by eminent domain and pave it over. And funny enough, it usually was the immigrant cities or the poorer cities, or where their black folk live. So we could just
watch the New York documentary that Ken Burns' brother did back in the 2000s for PBS. It's like a really great 8-part series on the history of New York, and it debuted right before 9/11.
Oh,
and then they did a 9/11 episode. They did a World Trade Center episode, like the building of the building, and then obviously what happened. And it was it's compelling. But they talk about how Greenwich Village, I think it was Greenwich Village, that fought back against the highway. Program. They were just there was this guy, Moses, I forget his last name, but never drove a car, but he was the director of transportation or whatever in New York. And he was all about building these goddamn highways.
and
destroying cities, or destroying neighborhoods.
I'll post it. I'll do a little research. 'Cause I wish I remember the name of it. But Alec Baldwin did a movie a couple of years ago about the guy who literally strong-armed everybody on the political side, on the public. He's the one who built all the bridges connecting, Manhattan to the other boroughs.
The same guy.
And it's unbelievable. Look, it's like Manifest Destiny. Wow, you put a nice spin on genocide of Native Americans. But back to the Perry Mason thing. Yeah, it's interesting how right they got that they've woven into what actually was happening. And it's just great. And, our good friend Al, who's been on the podcast, Al the Toy Man, who's now Al the actor and killing it. He's done a lot of episodes of Perry Mason. He sent me some pictures, and I'd have to ask if I can post them. I guess I can post them. If
you ask people if you can post pictures of them on the internet? How nice of you. It's good when you get their consent before you post unknowingly they're posting their pictures on the internet.
You done?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Is that what you call a call? It's called a callback? Is that what you call it?
Well, I guess so. A callback to an earlier discussion that wasn't recorded, but yes.
But he's done some extra work on that show, and he looks like he fell out of 1936 in the outfits he's in. He's a good-looking, distinguished guy. That, I can see him in a courtroom and all this stuff.
He was born older.
How's that?
I said you were born older.
So that's what I'm watching. What are you clowns watching?
Yeah, Biff. What are you watching?
You know what? I have to resume it, but have you guys seen the PBS documentary "Fight the Power"?
No.
On the origins of rap music.
Oh,
it's really, really intriguing in terms of you kind of see the kind of how the music morphed into rap music and the origins of it. But there's a whole lot of that, the kind of the background of this is the shit that was going on in New York at the time, and there's that whole thing is just freaking amazing.
There's a similar one that came out. Sorry, but there's a similar one that came out years ago, not too long ago, called Hip Hop Revolution. And I want to say it's almost the same kind of thing where they go through the different iterations of hip hop.
Is that the Netflix one?
I think so. Yeah,
because the Netflix one had all the guys in it. It's like
they
who
had
were there?
Fat Five Freddy and all
right.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it's like and Biff, you probably know this is a pretty good trivia question. Joe, what is the first rap song that charted in the top 40?
I want to say it was Rapper's Delight.
Walk This Way, right?
But it was probably Walk This Way.
No,
it's not Rapper's Delight.
You've already touched on it. You've already mentioned somebody who had something to do with it.
Oh no,
Blondie's.
Are you talking about Blondie's?
Blondie's Rapture,
right?
And she was hanging out with Fab Five Freddy. And name checks them in that rap, and it's technically the so of course. White women invented rap music. You heard it first on Carnival podcast. But yeah, no, there was that great documentary, and everybody was in it. And
she's like the Miss Daisy of rap music.
And it's funny because you go way back, like they were trying to trace like cassette tapes that people would just pass around tapes, and there was a guy in Philadelphia who basically this is the first rap song that was going through the underground, and said, no, I'll watch it. I can't watch enough. It's funny because they were talking about a bunch of different people who like Rick Rubin, who was, literally, no, Gigantic Goose, 100%. But it's like,
but hey, man, deservedly.
But
he earned that.
He really did. I mean, he, and how many of these people they've been introduced to him? I was like, oh, well, because he was the man behind the curtain. He was becoming this legendary status, and when people oh, I'm going to be meeting with, wait, he's a short little white Jewish guy. Did
you see the one where the David Letterman one? I think it was. I don't know who was he doing an interview with? Was it Jay-Z or something like that? But Rick Rubin was in the my next guest needs no introduction, one of those things, and he goes to somebody's recording studio, home recording studio, and Rick Rubin's there, but he's real bohemian, he's not wearing any shoes or anything like that. He's got this really long David Letterman beard, Anyways, I just thought I'd throw it in.
But dude, good heads up on that. I will definitely check out Fight the Power.
super short Rick Rubin story. He also produced the Black Crows, who's from Georgia, and originally he wanted to have them change their band name to the Cobb County Crows, spelt with a K.
Oh,
that's the kind of dude
Oh.
he is.
But neither Cobb County Crows don't those and words don't inherently have any K's in them anywhere. Not.
But I always thought they should.
Yeah, none of those words have K's anyway.
Anyway,
are you watching anything, Joe? No, you're watching everything on Plex simultaneously.
I love the only thing I like about. I mean, the main thing I like about Plex is that it's all stuff that I want to watch, and I can just hit shuffle, and I can watch my own little game show network or buzzer, or I can watch I finally digitizing the best of the Electric Company DVDs I bought in the late 2000s, or the Benny Hill collection that I found.
Benny Hill.
Hill.
Holds up.
What's that?
Holds up.
Yes. Yes, it does. In my heart. I loved it. I don't care.
And one thing, you guys have not watched a new History of the World because it's getting panned all over.
Stunk.
It's not good,
it's
Biff.
bad.
Everybody that I've talked to, and I want to watch it before Joe wanted me to watch it. I think you started to watch it before I did.
Yeah.
And you didn't say anything. You're like, oh, let me know when you see a couple episodes.
Well, actually, I didn't start watching it. My wife, she, we have different schedules, and she was watching History of the World. Oh, no, actually, she did ask me if I wanted to watch it. And I was like, because I had heard that it wasn't so good. Yeah. So she started watching it, and then I popped in an episode 3, and I watched that. And I was like, every episode has a reference to another Mel Brooks work. They'll quote why didn't somebody tell me my ass was so big? But then, it was just, I don't know. It was, it basically stars Wanda Sykes, Ike Barinholtz, and Nick Kroll doing sketches, but it's all right. It was just not great.
That's too bad.
It was lower production value. Some of the sketches I think leaned into that because they were making fun of local commercials. Right. There was one where Nick Kroll he's this Italian guy he has a warehouse of statues. All these statues are being torn down. So he's repossessing them and then liquidating them. So it's kind of funny, but it goes off a little bit, and it's, break it up, son. The joke's over,
I really, really wanted to like it, and because I heard a couple people, I didn't hear too much about it, but I didn't hear, oh, you got to watch this.
I'm sad we didn't get Hitler on Ice. Did they do Hitler on Ice?
There was a reference to it because, and it was funny because
they did use in space.
He said there's a bit the first or second episode where it cuts away to Mel Brooks. He's like, I said, okay, we can do this. This sounds great as long as we don't make any references to the original one. And then when they do Hitler on Ice, they're like, wait, I thought we said, but they did.
It has moments. It has moments. I'll give it that. But it's not History of the World. But let's face it. History of the World Part 1 wasn't phenomenal. It was
no, that's true.
No, it was fine.
It has some quotable lines.
It's good to be the king.
You look like the piss boy.
Oh, I get it. You're a bullshit artist.
No, the piss boy looks like me. No, it's quotable lines. And there's a lot of people in this who did bit parts and cameos, and I really did want to like it. It's not like the Norman Lear when Norman Lear did the live presentations, the 3 different live shows he did. That everybody's like, those were great.
Hear me out. All right, and I'm glad you brought that up because, as I said, a line from B. Arthur in History of the World, I was reminded of my dream casting of if they do an episode of Maude and live in front of a studio audience, Jane Lynch.
Oh, yes. Wow. Great call. Great.
Make it happen, Jimmy Kimmel.
Great call. No, that really is a great call. 100. Who
would play Stanley?
Who do you got for Stanley? Yeah.
Oh, gee, I don't know. I mean, any a Nebuchadnezzar guy, but probably be cast way too young. It'd probably be probably be Nick Kroll. You know what? Yeah, Nick Kroll is fucking Stanley. Who gives a shit?
I will say, I didn't like the show, but when he was talking about on Steph Myers and he was talking about getting the phone call from Mel Brooks to get the phone call from, it was a couple people on the line with them. You know what I mean? It was like, I don't know if Norman Lear was there, but it was a group phone call. And he's like, yeah, it was one of those moments where if I get hit by a bus when I walk outside now, it's good. It's all good. I had a great run and I went out on a high note.
But thank God, by the way, we were kind of glossing over the fact that Mel Brooks is still alive.
And working.
Yes.
And,
and talking.
Right. Succinctly.
Yeah.
Being funny.
Right. And he's doing the voices and stuff. Like, he's.
Yeah, no, he's narrating. Yeah. So it is great for him. No, seriously, let's be. Parenting tips. Here's mine. I'll start.
And finish.
My oldest guy, he's almost 16. He's going into high school, and he wants to make more choices, which we're all for. But he still has certain obligations. And so we've given him, we hear what you're saying. You don't want us to dictate all this stuff, so you can have more say in what you want to do. Specifically with like music stuff, you have to do something. There's, you can do this afternoon in the arts thing. You can do the guitar ensemble with the school. And he's like, well, I want to do my own band. It's like, great. I haven't heard you practice. So we gave him a deadline. It's like, okay, if you want to do this, we're 100% behind it. We have all the things. We got the resource. We can help out with this, that, and the other thing. But you actually have to then do it. And sometimes, we let him make his own choices. He chose wrong.
He chose poorly.
And so we had a nice talk. Yes, while I am the biggest tree hugging, screaming liberal rights guy outside of this house, here it's a dictatorship. And whatever your mother said, no, but it's like, and it is. So we've given him the choice. It's like, okay, by this date, it's this afternoon in the arts with the school starts in a week. If you've got your ducks in a row by then, awesome. If you don't, you're going to be mad at me, but you're going to do this. So that's my parenting tip. Be a dick. Make them do stuff they don't like because it's good for them.
And that's one to grow on.
That's what the mall Santa said to the cute kid. Shut up.
Hey. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't have a parenting tip. I never have a parenting tip. Biff, can I borrow your parenting tip?
Sure. You know what? I'm going to have to, maybe you could ask me next Tuesday. Because I seem to not have any on me right now.
I would gladly pay you Tuesday for our parenting tip today.
Well, you guys, you've already, your parenting's pretty much over. If you've done a great job.
My parenting was over 10 years ago. I just stung. I think it was, what's it called? A mercy rule in baseball, your
parenting tip is to marry someone who's better at it than you. And
begrudgingly has to take
over
all the duties.
I will say
that's what I've done.
It does become convenient for your child to have some parallels to your musical taste, because this past Tuesday, I finally got over the worst of my work and I went to a concert, and it's actually a concert that my son was willing to go to, because actually one of the people was gonna go, couldn't go. He said, "Oh yeah, I'll go," and then he did the driving. So there you go.
Nice.
Good for you guys.
Yeah.
Biff, it's been a minute since we've done this with you, so it's great to see you.
Good to see everybody again.
Yeah,
yes, welcome back.
I'm gonna throw something out that I didn't get to talk about. The last podcast, 2 podcasts ago,
the greatest Irish band of all time, as voted by the radio station in Ireland.
It's got to be U2, right?
Of course not. It's Thin Lizzy.
Oh,
so.
And if the Irish say it, they're right.
A couple weeks ago, on the podcast where we started off by you being Biff, which was hysterical, I went out. The last song I played on the was Moving Right Along. It was, part of the it was the Self-Indulgent Theater. It was the Self-Indulgent. And I didn't know what I was going to play during the podcast. I said, I'm going to, put one of Joe's old songs in there. I was listening to it, and truly, for a second, a couple times, I went back as I'm listening back to this, thinking that I had put in the original Moving Right Along, because this is going way back. One of the first 20 podcasts we did?
No, I mean, it was about like a year or so in.
But Joe has his friend Peter, who's, you know, an actor, a puppeteer, an amazing curator, a writer.
Yeah.
I mean,
by the way, let's put it. I'm going to plug my friend Peter Safronis. He has a podcast. Peter Cosmas Safronis. He has a podcast called Putting Two and Two Together. It's like a weekly soap opera, basically. Yeah, I mean, nobody on here is going to listen to it. I get it.
I'll listen.
But he's re-releasing his first 2 seasons and a half of this podcast. He kind of George Lucased a couple of the early ones, like with an actor. So anyways,
McClunky.
Yeah, right. There's a couple of McClunkies in there. No, but he's going to re-release each episode once every week until the new season comes out, and which is like 2 months from now or something. But check it out if you like gay orient. No, it's not necessarily gay, but okay, it's about a gay couple called Putting Two and Two Together. And anyways, he's a friend and I like him and I want to, and he God damn it, he puts so much work into that like podcast. That's an actual like real podcast.
No, I've heard podcasts like that. He also, him and a former partner of his used to have a puppet show that they really, put a lot of work into and stuff like that. No, really great. So, anyways, as far as our podcasts go, Joe and Ham did moving right along, by Fozzie and Kermit. And honestly, the two of you were just so spot on. There was a couple times I'm like, was this a mashup? Were we going from because you were editing the podcast then, and I didn't know if it was this you guys the whole way through. I want to take a second to say, absolutely blown away. So impressed with you and Peter, and that's the last thing I'm saying on this podcast today.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Very nice. That was it. Well, actually, kind of was a mashup because it was a mashup of 2 different takes. Yes, that was both Peter and me playing Fozzie and Kermit in happier times, I guess. Which was, when we were younger. Which is always the past is always happier, isn't it? Isn't it? Don't you agree, Biff? You're more of a now and future guy.
No. I was bullied as a child.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. By him. Do those glasses pick up a good HBO on television? He bullied me on television, and I stayed friends. Actually, our friendship grew stronger since then. Oh my!
But they say you always hurt the one you love.
That's right. You know what? I do mean to hurt you. So yes, thank you for the reminder, Beth. I need to hurt him. Yeah. I'll do it by playing nonstop Press Your Luck episodes tonight where he goes insane. Anyway, well, thank you for listening to our podcast, and I'm glad to be back in the presence of Jacques in person. We're gonna go watch some stupid, we'll find the dumbest things, and we'll just laugh, and then we'll eat stuff, and it'll be great, and we'll forget that we're married. Oh, it'll be. Oh, is that by
to each other? Wait, you're married to each other?
No. That we have wives, and it's just fun stuff. We're just dicking around. We're just, it doesn't mean anything. We're just 2 guys hanging out. I'm sleeping over. What's the big deal? Why are you looking at me like that? I don't know. It's normal. And yes, we're sharing the same bed, but yes, it's normal. It's normal. That's like what 2 bros do. All right, don't forget.
A bear in his natural habitat. A Studebaker.
Moving right along in search of good times and good news. With good friends you can't lose.
This could become a habit.
Opportunity knocks once, let's reach out and grab it.
Yeah!
Together we'll nab it.
We'll hitchhike, bus, or yellow cab it.
Cab it? Moving right along.
Footloose and fancy free.
Getting there is half the fun. Come share it with me.
Moving right along.
We'll learn to share the load.
We don't need a map to keep the show on the road.
Moving right along, we found a life on the highway.
And your way is my way.
So trust my navigation.
California, here we come, the pie in the sky land.
Palm trees and warm sand.
So sadly, we just left Rhode Island.
We did what?
I'll just forget it.
Moving right along. Hey, LA, where have you gone?
send someone to fetch us. We're in Saskatchewan.
Moving right along. Doom, 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 doom. You take it. You know best.
Hey, I've never seen the sun come up in the west.
Moving right along, we're truly birds of a feather. We're in this together, and we know where we're going.
Movie stars with flashy cars and life with the top down.
We're storming the big town.
Yeah, storm is right. Should it be snowing?
No, I don't think so.
Moving right along. Do I see signs of men?
Welcome on the same post. It says come back again. Moving right along.
Nice town.
Footloose and fancy free.
You're ready for the big time.
Is it ready for me?
Moving right along. Moving right along. Moving right along. Moving right along.
Hello and welcome to Sideshow, a very special episode of Sideshow, which I think they all are. If anyone hasn't figured it out yet, this is our Muppet tribute episode. Again, I'm Jacques.
I'm Joe.
And we've had a good half dozen guests. We've had more than a half dozen, but we've had a good half dozen guests. Each and every one says they had a great time. They really want to come back, but they'll say whatever they need to get out of Joe's basement. Peter, a few weeks back, came in and we did a Looney Tune episode, and Peter said, "Oh, I would love to come back." And so far,
I don't know if I said those exact words.
He said, "Would you please let me come back? This was the greatest moment of my life. Second to none. I've peaked," or something like, "Yeah, I'd do this again if you guys ask really nice."
Yes. So thank you, Peter.
How much
for
am I
joining
getting paid for this time?
Twice what we did last time.
2 times
Double.
0. Great.
Yes. So
your agent drove a hard bargain.
Thanks, Bernie.
Yeah.
But you know, Joe and I have always been Muppet fans. We quote and we'll get into it. Some of the lines that we quote back and forth to each other all the time. We've talked about doing one of these, but as I came to find out when Peter was here last time, just talking off mic and stuff like that, and about his side projects,
No.
that his love for Looney